we'll hear Deputy Catherine Connolly, please.
Cean Comhairle agus banan mo ceist a híisi le cúrsaí íscareachta agus go háirid policy an rialtas, policy a dailtí 2019 agus a choirimh ó mí anar na bliana seo. Agus bun agus bar an policy sin agus policy maithe bhí an ní rá cead ag na tráléir mhóra bheith íscach tíomhiste de sé bhir bhíle fud ar ggósta. Ach faríor chur an ardcuirte an policy sin neamhnaí an lá dearnach de bhí úl agus ó hin tá bear na mhór agus tá na tráléir mhóra leiste den limisteir sin agus tá mise agus teachtaí dála eile ag daileáil le neart gearán ó daoine atá híos agus tá Harbheith bútha. Taoiseach, my question relates to a policy directive by the government that came into effect in January of this year, was published last year, and prior to that there was a whole long history and entry into this policy. Let me say the idea and the concepts behind the policy were excellent. They sought to have a sustainable fishing industry within the 6 mile zone, more particularly in the documents accompanying the decision and the consultation process. It was improved protection of coastal environments and essential fish habitat, benefiting biodiversity and commercially exploited fish stocks, the socio-economic benefits for the smaller inshore boats and fishermen, the importance of diversification opportunities, more jobs, and of course the more intimate connection between fishermen and consumers and businesses in the area, among many other advantages. That was brought in after a consultation period. The decision, as I said, was made in March of 19. The policy came into effect of January this year. On the 3 boat owners or their companies took a case. That case was successful on very narrow grounds. On the last day of July this year, the High Court issued a very detailed and comprehensive judgment. Many arguments put up by the 3 big boats, none of them upheld by the court, except that the department had failed in their consultation process. So simply the consultation process was faulty. Once they went down the road of the consultation process, they had to do it right. Unfortunately, they didn't, and now we're in the situation where your policy is gone. Mar a dúirt mé in Gaeilge tá sé neamhnaí. It's not valid. And we now have a serious gap, and the trawlers are back in Galway Bay and other bays throughout and our coast throughout the country. I'm asking you, what are you doing about that? The consultation process was faulty. To me, it was a relatively simple matter to accept the judgment of the court and go back and do the consultation process properly, given the importance of the contents of the policy in question.
Thank you, Deputy Taoiseach.
Well, I just time buocht an tachtar a socht an ceisio ardú inúv agus in team le got an policy a bhí ann riv cinenne na cuarta got an policy carte ó thaobh bach a chuir ar tráléirí móra tachtarteach leistigh den sé bhar míle leistigh den chósta. Agus isáil cinn scéile, isáil le marrá go bhfuil na tráléirí móra arás leistigh den limisteir sin, agus níl sin súil I ggóthaíoch san policy a dailsigh an rialtas sicáte an rialtas a bhí ann I mí eanar na bliana seo. Agus caiimiad áfach na bhí dhéanamh sin, agus mar a dúirt tú hain, an choreagras nó an dáileáil le pobl ábhac na bhí dhéanamh sin agus slí carta chur a bhaim. So in my view, take on board what you're saying. I will engage with the Minister for Agriculture and Fisheries on this specific issue in terms of the aspects of the court decision that undermine the policy and the degree and the moves that the department now propose to take in relation to rectifying that, if that indeed is possible. So in our view, and in my view, sorry, I'll take on board what you have said, and I will pursue the matter with the Minister for Fisheries, with a view to seeing if we can develop a consultation process or other processes that would meet the requirements of the court decision.
Thank you, Taoiseach. You see, that was July. We're now in November. Nothing has happened. You're not even clear as Taoiseach whether an appeal has been taken. I don't wish to put you on the spot, but we know from July the substantive judgment was given. It mightn't have been perfected, the order. Is there an appeal underway? If there's an appeal, that would seem not very good way to proceed to me, because there'll be a further delay. And the court did not take issue with the government in relation to policy and what was behind the policy, but they did take issue with the consultation process. Now, to me, it's a golden opportunity to do it right, because when you brought in the policy, it was also a blunt instrument in relation to a certain number of trawlers over 80 metres, but who fish sustainably. And they were caught in that overall ban, one of those earning a livelihood on the Aran Islands, another down in the southwest of the country, and so on. So unfortunately, those trawlers were caught. And what really was at issue here was the non-sustainable fishing for sprat, on which the ecosystem is based and dependent on. And so we have the big ships taking in my opinion, the sprat in an unsustainable way for fish meal, by and large, by the bigger boats, for human consumption by the smaller fishermen. And so the consultation process was faulty. There were 900 submissions, the vast majority asking for the government begging them to bring in a sustainable policy. Thank you, Cancorla. But this is a chance to go back and look at the small number of trawlers who were unfortunately caught by the blunt instrument as well, separate from the industrial trawlers, or those carrying out fishing on an industrial basis.
Clearly a number of issues that have to be considered now by the department following the judgment, and the implication for other trawlers and fishermen as well, and that's something that clearly the department has to assess in terms of moving forward. And I will, as I say, I will engage with the Minister and will come back to the Deputy in terms of the policy position that the department is going to adopt in response to the court decision and how it intends to proceed into the future.